And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens. My co-host is Angelia Haynes.
Hey, everyone.
And making a repeat of her annual repeat summer visit, Angelia Burgett.
Hello.
Angelina. I said Angelia.
See,
I'm telling you.
I'm just rolling with it.
Angelia.
Just rolling with it.
There you go. It's because my brain isn't working on a Monday. There you go. It's Bagelfest week, so your brain has to be on this week.
On fire.
There you go. So I guess I always like to start, we assume everybody knows about Bagelfest, but let's play dumb for a minute and just talk about maybe somebody's new to the community or going to be in the area this week. What's Bagelfest?
So this is the 34th annual Bagelfest, which is a remarkable accomplishment. I think it started out with Lender's Bagels moving to Mattoon, as Jeff probably remembers well, and there was a free bagel breakfast downtown. Tables lined the streets, and folks were introduced to a bagel, which at the time was not a common kitchen product or item.
Breakfast item.
So folks were introduced to this item with this free breakfast, and there was a desire to have a festival in the community, and that seemed like what a good fit because Lender's was showing this hospitality to Mattoon and getting people together. And to be honest with you, that's what I think about Mattoon when I think about it as a community. It's about hospitality and people working together. So it was a good fit, and so we're still doing it.
There you go. It's at Albert Peterson Park still?
It is. It is.
Okay. I always ask, is anything new this year? Have you added any new items, new twists or anything?
Well, one of the biggest sort of twist. It's not so much a twist in terms of content, but in format. We have the Oak Ridge Boys on Friday night, which is Saturday night is typically our bigger night of music, and scheduling just worked out this way this year. So it's really been just a change up, but we're very pleased with the enthusiasm to see the Oak Ridge Boys. Because
the main acts will be on Friday night. Will be the Oak Ridge Boys, and then on Saturday will be the 1964 tribute band, which is a tribute to the Beatles.
Right.
But that's actually right now with this movie being out.
Yeah.
It's kind of. Sometimes things just work out perfect.
Well, and our theme this year is Peace, Love, and Bagelfest.
Yeah.
And that was actually before we knew 1964 was coming in, but has worked out beautifully. And, of course, with the movie yesterday out and about, people are thinking about the Beatles. I think people think about the Beatles all the time anyway.
Yeah.
They never leave our radar. But this certainly fits together well.
The Peace, Love, and Bagelfest, I was going to ask about. Who came up with that? Was that you? Or?
That was me.
That's pretty...
Typically how we do it is, and it's not always me, but it's usually someone within our team, and it's usually this week. This week, things start swirling around. I go, what do you think about this? And they'll say, what do you think about that? And then somewhere in the middle, we get it together.
I like it. I mean,
I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the 50th year or anniversary of Woodstock, so it's just
see, that's just a coincidence too.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to say I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That, yet the Beatles. And the Oak Ridge Boys were probably around in the 60s, right?
They were. Actually,
they've been around forever.
They have been playing for a long time.
Now, I know a lot about the Oaks, but I mean, it's pretty much, 3 of the 4 or 4 of the 5 are still the original members?
3, yeah. And these guys they're getting up there in years, but there is just no sign of stopping them. They're traveling, they're touring. People are honestly so devoted to them in a way that I think it's kind of like the Beatles in the sense that it reminds us of our youth. For a lot of people, it reminds us of our youth.
Yeah.
It reminds us of certain places we were the first time we heard something like, Elvira. I mean, everybody knows those first few notes, right? We go, oh, yeah, that's what that is. So it's been that kind of enthusiasm on both nights, really. So it's been really good.
Was it hard getting them? I mean, because they're a big name act. I mean, even though they've been around forever, but still, when people think Oak Ridge Boys, everybody recognizes that name.
Well, it was the scheduling just worked out. I mean, I think that was really the blessing, was being willing to change the way we had been doing things, which turned out to be for our better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Mattoon Bagelfest has always been known for getting people who were up and coming at the time. I mean, you've had Zach Brown Band.
Yes.
Luke Bryan. Gary Allen. All of them started.
Jason Aldean, I would like to add him in.
Yeah,
he was my first it was my very first Bagelfest. They'd already been booked. So, yeah. It's an interesting time, I think, with things like American Idol, things like The Voice, things like America's Got Talent, is that there's just a different movement going on with these up-and-comers, and so a lot of times they will go and travel with larger acts in order to get, they hold some name recognition, and so they've become a little harder for us to get. We're always looking at that to see what's available, but, with the tried and true Oak Ridge Boys are, they're going to have music that everybody knows and feels really good about and comfortable with and familiar, with memories and things like that. And so that's really been a better route for us.
And they're very safe bands because right now you see what's happening in DuQuoin and the State Fair's getting some heat. Oak Ridge Boys are one of those safe American bands that you really can't get a complaint about.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely nothing to say bad about them.
There you go. Let's talk about, a lot of people, only focus on the music, but, Bagelfest is much more than that. Let's just start with kind of going through some of the days. Bagelfest really kicks off tomorrow with some events.
Okay, so the first thing that happens are the Miss Bagelfest contest happens tomorrow night at Williams School, and then we also have the first day of the Beautiful Bagel Baby Contest. And yeah, I always have to really enunciate that to make sure I don't flub it up. So there's then Tuesday night is the second part of that. So we have the age categories.
Wednesday would be the second.
Wednesday. Yeah. So that's 101 babies, and we are full to the max on contestants. So so that is Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and then Wednesday night also our carnival opens up, and we do have 3 armband times as we've had in the last few years. It seems to work with people's schedules. So 6 to 10 on Wednesday night is an armband night, and just to note that if you go to the Peterson House before noon Wednesday, you can get those armbands at $17 and save yourself $3 per kid. And you can use those anytime that we have an opportunity. So I'm just giving you a note there. You've got multiple children, that is the best way to go, right? And then on the 18th, we have, on Thursday night, we do have bingo in the DeMar Center, and the carnival is open. We have vendors open at 5 o'clock. And in the band shell, we have local favorite Scott Waddles, rock and roll, plus he does a gospel show, so it's a mix of the two. And it's a beautiful, it's free, by the way. I've been asked that question for Scott's concert, which people are willing to pay for, so it's a nice bonus to be able to give that to the community. So then he is going to be right up to 7, and then at 8 o'clock, we have a free concert with 7 Time Down, which is a very popular contemporary Christian group that will be taking the main stage. And we do take a donation for One Stop Community Christmas, and this has been one of the most rewarding things about having this Thursday night concert, because for many years Bagelfest had stopped doing a Christian concert, and there was a real call from the community to bring it back. And so we have been working hard to get the right kind of acts, and I think we've been successful, and we've been able to collect several $1,000s over the years for One Stop Community Christmas, which obviously benefits the entire area.
And people love Christian music and gospel music around there.
And these
we
guys
have a show here on WEIU as well as TV that people flock to. So it's definitely, should be a priority as the future goes on.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely well received, and we always get a good crowd there. Just a note that if you're coming out to that Thursday night act, to bring a lawn chair or a blanket, because we don't have seating available. And then Friday, we go into the carnival being open again from 1 to 11 with that armband, that second opportunity from 1 to 5. Vendors are open at 1. And then we have our youth bands, our Mattoon youth bands, performing in the band shell from 5 to 7. And, these guys are just fun. Anytime that you get an opportunity to see them, and they do play a lot around the area, these kids are just honing their skills, and they're just it's really exciting, because you think, because we have a talented area, but these guys are going to be like the next wave. I don't know. It's exciting.
How many different ones are playing?
We have 3, and I'm fairly certain I will mess up the last one, so my apologies out there to them. Amplified is the first one. Anyone's Guess is the second. And Volspear, I'm sure I'm messing that up, so my apologies, but they're all 3, really, they're definitely worth your time.
And that's free as well.
And that's free as well. Bingo again in the DeMar Center, and then on Friday night at 8 o'clock, we have the Oak Ridge Boys taking stage. Gates open. Every night we have music in the main stage. The gates open at 6, concert at 8.
Okay. Now, before we get on to Saturday, are the Oak Ridge Boys tickets, are they moving well?
The reserve seating is all sold out. So we do have lawn seating available, and we feel like we can accommodate everybody. So up into that evening, we'll be selling lawn seating.
And how many seats can you actually sell inside there?
Well,
are you allowed to say that?
To be honest with you, we have tested the waters a few years ago, and we had the Zach Brown Band, and so we feel like we have a good sense of when to cut it off, but I would rather not say.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, we'll be watching those numbers, but we feel pretty confident.
It's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Saturday's kind of used to be this was the day way back when, and now it really is the culmination day. But it's an all day just extravaganza in Mattoon.
So Run for the Bagel, 6:30 in the morning. Are you running?
Probably my wife will be, not me.
Okay, excellent. Well, as long as you have representation there, that's all that matters. And that's run by the Mattoon YMCA, beautifully run by them. The world's biggest bagel breakfast, which is free, of course, from 8 to 10 a.m., and that's in the DeMar Center. There are drinks available there for purchase as well. And we have been adding into the mix the last few years music in the band shell during the breakfast, so that people have some sort of entertainment going on there while they're getting their bagels. And this year we have the East Central Harmony Chorus, which is an a cappella women's group, which people really enjoy from 9 to 10. And then you have just enough time to get your bagel and run over to Broadway to watch the parade, which starts at 10:30 a.m. and runs from 21st and Western to 1st Street. So that's where you know how to sit. Get your chairs out there. And I will always tell the story of, 7 o'clock in the morning, there are chairs out there. And I'm always just a little relieved. Like, okay, people are still interested, and that's wonderful.
Well, even the new parade that the thing that truck convoy that went by, there were people set up in the morning, and it wasn't even coming to the afternoon. I'm like,
I love it. Yeah. It's a lot of
people love parades.
People love parades. Bernie DeBure does the Bagel Bow Wow contest in the Rotary Band Shell at 2 o'clock. Get your registration there by 1:30, and our carnival is open all day with the last armband opportunity from noon to 4. And our vendors are open all day. And then 1964 takes the stage at 8 o'clock.
And that's the Beatles Tribute Band. If you've not heard of them, they've actually played at Eastern when I was going to college, believe it or not. They've been around for a long time. They're really good at what they do.
Quite a reputation.
So, and with that movie being out, I think that'll be another one. I'm sure the tickets are moving well on that one as well.
Yeah, they are. All
right. So really, then Sunday is all as for a while there. Sunday had some things. Sunday's still all the way out now.
Not since I've been around. It's been a long time. Yeah, yeah.
So I guess when people are asking, is there any park rules and needs or stuff that we need to go about so people know what to do?
If we have anybody who still wants to volunteer, we do have a couple spots available still, and they can call the Peterson House and let us know what they might be interested in doing and see if we can make that work. One of the beautiful things about volunteers in Mattoon is that people just do show up and give their time, and we're just always grateful for everybody that shows up. We'll always find a spot for you if we can. The other part would be, for the 1964, the tribute, we're going to be having some fun things. We're going to have a selfie station. We're going to have some Beatles themed-ish giveaways for the first few folks that come through the gate. We really want that to be like sort of the culmination of the weekend, to be a real party atmosphere, because that's just music that we treasure. So, just come out, get ready to dance, get ready to sing, do whatever you got to do, right?
So what's on your mind over there, Angelia?
I just think it sounds exciting. I wish I could be there for 1964. There's something about festivals, in your neighborhood and having these tribute and cover bands come and perform. I think that's the epitome of your summer vacation.
Yes.
is going to festivals like this. And Bagelfest has been around forever.
Yes.
I first learned about the history of Bagelfest last year, I think. So, and how it all started, and it's interesting. You can't go anywhere else and say that there's a Bagel Fest and anywhere else in Illinois.
Actually, what I usually get is, why Bagel Fest? Why bagels?
And you have to go back.
And I have to go back and tell the story, because it does seem like, why Mattoon and bagels? What's that combination mean? And so, I get to tell that story quite a bit.
And I was talking to somebody this morning, sorry to interrupt, is that when you think about, it's Aurora Foods now instead of Linder's, correct? But, when you think about it, the stability of a company that's been in our community for 34 years and still going strong, that doesn't happen in these days as much. And so we're kind of lucky in that way in the Mattoon area that we have a factory that is still there and still doing good, because that doesn't happen. And we got to appreciate that. With the Consolidateds and the First Mids and the Rural Kings and places like that stay and support the community.
And those are some of our biggest supporters.
Yeah.
The people who, that's the place, one of the places that we don't talk a lot about in terms of measurement, but internally we're measuring all those sponsorship levels, and the sponsorship has been growing consistently for the last 10 years. And I'm always so pleased that people still find value in what we're doing.
Well, yeah, and I told you, posted last week, Amazon's not going to sponsor Bagel Fest, folks. So I know everybody likes to buy stuff from there, but keep those things in mind as you move forward and you love local community events. So park rules and the do's and don'ts on things, firecrackers and all that stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend, don't bring big bags, backpacks. I mean, we have police officers out there that's one of the things that they're going to be looking for. Just have common sense about those kinds of things. bringing out pets, smoking, firecrackers, sparklers, all those things just aren't conducive to that environment. And so I would recommend that you don't do that. Anything else in terms of we're going to do our best to be giving a cooling station. The police are there. I mean, we do have a lot of folks there who are there to help if there are any issues. But that's really it's common sense.
What do people ask you the most about when they say, "Hey, I heard about Bagelfest"? What do they come up want to know?
Why?
Yeah, why? I think that people are generally very interested in how we get the music. You know, why do you pick this person or that person? And it's such a complicated process, as you know, that it's a lot to do with who will people come out for, of course, but also who can we afford? Obviously, everybody's got a budget. And then what can we do to best support that group? You know, one of the things that comes up a lot, you know, why don't you bring the Zac Brown band back? As if
my son asked me that.
Yeah.
And he was at $250,000 probably minimum.
Oh, more than that.
Yeah.
And or Carrie Underwood, or you know, things that I appreciate it. These people are great, but even if we could scrape up the money to bring them, our facility is not conducive to the kind of show they do now. So the idea of, you know, what makes the most sense, there's a real thoughtful process in that. And so it's, people have ideas, and I appreciate that, but we do our very best to get something that hits a lot of people's boxes, but can't do everything.
Right. But on a serious note, now in the future, are you going to have to pay attention to what these bands that you bring in because of what's happening now in Illinois, or is it something you're not going to worry about?
You know, I think I'm always aware of I would never chase controversy for sure. But this last go around has surprised me.
Yeah, it's kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, and I think the world is pretty sensitive, and so I would try to be sensitive to people, you know, what their reaction might be. And not that this is always going to be the case, but if you stick to the tribute bands and the country music, I feel like those are relatively safe. Not that we're always trying to be just safe, but the idea that what appeals to the majority of people is what's going to win.
Well, I think it's the population too in the area.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like a lot of festivals, especially around, you know, Southern Illinois, and this isn't supposed to sound bad at all, but there is some sort of stereotype that goes along with that. And it's very homey.
Yeah.
You know, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
There's
agreed.
nothing wrong with the country music and with the tribute bands. That's what makes these summer festivals. You know, it's great.
How do you maintain excitement year to year? I mean, you do this, and I mean, because it's got to be tough. I mean, you get revved up, and then know that you've got to put on a show, and that this is really one of the times that, you know, Coles County / Mattoon shines this week.
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of the energy I receive from getting calls in January about volunteering, or having sponsors say, I was at this level, we're ready to kick it up a notch, we want to be more invested. You know, I have a lot of really good staff and volunteers that keep that energy up, because there is always that, you know, searching of how can we do better, and that can be challenging. So there's a challenge there, but there's a lot of positives, and a lot of it's, to be honest with you, I get to see some of the best of people. Even, I mean, we ask people to do things in 100-degree weather, just like we do at Lightworks. We ask them to do things when it's, you know, minus degrees, and people still do it, and I'm just impressed with that. So if they can show up for it, then I can rise to that level of enthusiasm.
You talked about budgeting a little bit. For maybe the people who don't know, where does the money come from to pay the Oak Ridge Boys and the tribute bands and some of the other stuff that you have to pay for?
Well, you know, the majority of it comes from sponsorship. What we make, and you know, we charge vendor fees, that kind of thing, ticket sales. It's a combination of things, and there's a little bit of support that comes from the tourism side of things that we move into festival management, as we do with other parts of our budget. So it's a combination, but it's primarily local support.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, social media, how has it changed over the past, 5-6 years to help you? You think it pushes sales or pushes awareness or not?
I think it pushes awareness, and I really personally enjoy the one-on-one interaction that we get on social media. And obviously not everybody's kind on social media, so you kind of have to roll with it a bit.
Really? I never noticed.
Yeah. But the people who are interested and want answers and have questions, or are able to pop out a quick message to say, I really enjoyed this, or this was really worthwhile, or I have ideas for next year, whatever, I really like it. But there is a tough side to it too.
When someone does post negative, like, I don't know what they could say bad about, whatever, let's just, I don't like the Beatles for some reason.
Why would you say something?
I mean, do you take those down, or do you try to just say, hey, we appreciate your opinion?
It depends. It depends. Is it productive to the conversation? I have to tell you the story, and this person probably isn't listening, but maybe.
Sorry,
a random person, when I posted the Oak Ridge Boys, said, well, it's about time you did something right. And I said...
Well, it's a compliment. It's just a backhanded one.
I looked at it for a while, and I had to laugh about it because it was, yes, a compliment, no, not a compliment. So I just thank you, ? Because... I mean, there's some things that are just funny, and that to me was just funny. So I don't take everything too seriously.
Because Zach Brandman, that was a terrible call, Angelia.
Yes. Well, but then there's also times when people will say things just to stir things, and I usually try to limit that because I don't think it's productive to. If they have a legitimate question, I am there for them. If they have ideas, totally want to hear those. But if it's just to be controversial, there isn't any value in that.
Very good. So that's just funny.
I'm just so annoyed. Your single opinion and how you
it's about
phrase
time you
that
did something right.
does not matter.
Well, it's that one in particular. I'm going to be using that one for a while because to me it was just
because we really haven't. I mean, when I think back, and again, my memory isn't what it used to be as I get older, but there hasn't been a lot of misses. I mean, it's been almost every name that's been there. I think even before I was. Before you were there and I was involved over at WMCI, there's been a lot of really good acts. I mean, there wasn't hardly any bad ones that I can think of.
And there's
maybe one that I can think of, I won't say his name out loud, that wasn't really popular at the time, but he was still a decent entertainer.
Well, and not everything can be a home run. I mean, that's the challenge of any event, no matter it's a golf outing or it's a concert or whatever. So you do your best, and for me, I have to measure both the response we get, but also what's happening behind the scenes. Are we a good team? Do we have systems in place? Have we prepared for every scenario? And I feel really good about that, even on the times that it's just not as great as I'd like it to be.
And it's just like anything else. Is what you can afford at your family budget. If you have this amount of dollars, you can only get. You can't have ribeyes every night.
No, right? That's thinking too much, Jeff. You can't give them the benefit of the doubt. I do have a question though. Sure. You do so much, just from talking to you last year and now this interview now. I mean, what have you learned through planning for Bagelfest personally?
That's a really big question. I've learned lots of things. I mean, I've learned lots of things because I've learned how to set us up for success. I feel as though we've got. One of the things, this comes from a previous career, is that I am very serious about systems. We literally have a checklist. I mean, and that sounds so simplistic, but we literally have a checklist. And when we're moving and we're trying to get things done, then to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, honestly, that is one of my biggest recommendations. Anybody doing events, you think you know it all, but you're always going to learn each year and keep adding to that list and make those systems so that every year is not a brand new year. That's the big learning curve. And also be aspirational. Sometimes we have sponsors that actually think, how could I get more? So we need to think about what can we offer. We are extremely sensitive to, a sponsor comes along, what can we do for you? What are you going to do for us? So it's a relationship and not just a one-time, giving. And so we think about what's the best scenario for us to get the most out of this, but also you to get the most out of this. So we have developed aspirational levels of sponsorship, and every time we do, then we raise it. Somebody meets it, and then we do that again because you just can't assume people in a certain box are going to be unwilling to do more, especially in Mattoon.
And the other thing is, I think you have to also appreciate the people that do it year to year. Sometimes you take them for granted. I think we do that at every work. Oh, they're going to do that again, and sometimes you have to make sure that they want to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a safe way to say it.
It feels like it's definitely a mindset. You have to have the right motivational mindset to want to do this, and I think it's inspirational, the type of work that your team does. You guys get it done. You got to appreciate something that works well. A well-oiled machine, if you mind that cliche.
We try really hard, really hard.
We'd love to have the behind the scenes of the real meeting, though.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're never gonna know. We have a few minutes left. Anything that I forgot before we get into the world famous 8 questions? We have Mattoonbagelfest.com is the website. We're very responsive on Facebook, so if you have questions, we're going to be watching the weather, of course, as always. It looks hot, but it looks clear after Tuesday this week.
I'm
So
crossing my fingers and,
And the concerts for
crossing my
Friday and
heart.
Saturday night look 75-ish, which isn't terrible.
Well, it's delightful. No, let's just call it delightful.
Delightful.
So so that's the thing, and get those carnival tickets because that's an opportunity to get them at a discount. We don't want to miss that. So come to the Peterson House.
And keep in mind, this brings a lot of money into hotels and food and restaurants. So that's the other thing that's good for the city, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. We count on a lot of things bringing. You're talking about our image, and then one of the things about Bagelfest is that when we have people come to town and they can get to see how we operate as a community, I think it's never a bad idea.
Oh, we also forgot about softball. Girls softball oval tournament going
Absolutely.
on. Sorry, girls.
Huge.
We'll get in
huge.
trouble.
Yeah.
All right. You're gonna play this 8 questions.
Okay. That's
Earliest
fair.
toy you remember playing with?
Oh my gosh.
Barbie or what? So I'm just
Yeah, like a baby doll.
baby.
I mean, we were broke. It was probably like a sticker and a rock or something. Like,
Doll and a stick. Your favorite festival besides Bagelfest? Is there other ones you go to that you love to see?
Oh gosh.
I really thought about these this morning. I wanted
really
to make you
did.
think.
You really
Angela.
pushed me.
Or it can be a fair even or anything.
I'm just blanking. I think because my whole world is built around Bagelfest. So
St. Christopher's Fest, which is up north, because they always have the zipper. It's this one carnival ride that it's an individual cart and it's like attached to this whole thing. You just constantly spin
That's a
around.
young person
My
thing.
back, my back probably can't take it anymore. But I love that ride.
Favorite Oak Ridge Boys song?
I actually discovered that there's a lot more, but my first impulse is always to say Elvira because it's just so catchy.
All right.
I have to agree. It reminds me of my days at Party City because we used to play that. For some reason, it's associated with Halloween.
Yes. Yes.
I never caught
Favorite
it.
Beatles song?
Hey Jude, I
Hey.
think, yeah.
This is a tough one.
This is a tough.
This is very tough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say Ticket to Ride.
Ooh, that's a good
Ooh,
one.
that's
Yeah.
a good one. Maybe I changed my mind.
Mine's come together. So there you go.
Also good. See, there's
Yeah.
There you
endless.
go. Your first pet and the name. Growing up, did you have a
You're going to enjoy this one. I had a dog. My dad was a musician, and its name was Boogie.
dog? The
cute.
Boogie. Boogie the dog. There you
I
go.
had a cat named Cat.
Cat named Cat. And he had a stick
Yeah.
named Stick. There you go. If not with Mattoon Tourism, Angelia would be doing what these days?
Oh, dear.
What would your other dream job be out there?
I would be very happy to be cooking something for somebody. I don't know that ends up in a food truck or catering or a restaurant. I don't know, but there's something about food, and which is kind of Bagelfest related. So
Can't really ask you. Yeah, that-
Win the lottery and go somewhere far away.
Can I
That would
once again, can I
Jeez.
just take her answer?
Well, it's funny that you said food because I said, do you like hot and spicy food was the next question.
Oh, within limits. Yes.
Hot and spicy food?
I grew up with it.
All right. So
Yes.
that's it. All right. Best advice you ever received? You had 20 seconds.
Oh my gosh, these questions. Seriously.
I'm telling you, man. We had to up our game too. If Bagelfest is, we are too.
One of the smartest things I ever learned about from McDonald's, actually in my previous life, was about your willingness compared to your ability. So that there's that intersection of you're willing, but you need to learn how to do it. And there's a moment where you get that all together.
There you go. That's good.
No one cares more about you than yourself, and consequently, no one is more important than yourself in your life. So
Very good. Bagelfest this week in Mattoon. We're going to, after our ID here, we'll have the little Oak Ridge Boys follow Beatles. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.